Hi, I'm Closet SimRacer. Welcome to a new video. Today I am doing a bit of a sort of introduction to rfactor2 called rfactor2 Things. Anyone that's played it will know what that means. It's very good, but it has its quirks. So I'm going to quickly run through as many of these little quirks as I can remember. So starting out with, make sure you have all of your peripherals on. Make sure your wheel's on. Make sure, obviously I run VR, so VR is open and ready to go. Also, any other programs that you may use, like I use Oculus Tray Tool, make sure I've got that open. Right, there we go. Got there eventually. Yeah, right, so yeah, I use that, so make sure that's open. If you use anything like Crew Chief, so that's there. Things like MSI Afterburner, if you use that, have that open. So that's Crew Chief open and set to rfactor2. So I'm not going to start that because I don't particularly need it today. Next, if you are new to rfactor2 and you want to check out the current new online system, it's currently still in the beta. So you may open it and go, where is it? If you see here, so we click on rfactor2. If you right click, go down to properties, and then under the betas tab, you then select the release candidate on the list. It may be in main build by the time you read this, but if it's not there, when you open it, this is where you find it. So you click on that, it'll download, update, so on and so forth. Now a VR only tip. If you run in VR only, go into your general tab and down at the bottom here, add into the launch options plus VR, and then it will launch VR every time. It won't ask you if you want to use it on the screen, or it'll just launch in VR. Not a problem at all. So once you've done that, you're new to it, you've opened it up, you've gone in there, you've got no tracks, no cars, nothing to test. So in rfactor2's wisdom, which is not necessarily a bad thing, they made the base game less of a download. So it was quicker to download. So the way you actually get your content is under your RF2, you go into Workshop, just here. Now this opens all the mods, for example. To find the official content, go into search, put S397 and press enter. So if you look very carefully, he says not been able to find anything. Hold on. Right. Scrap that. I go to my subscribed items, let's find something in here. If I go to my last page, right, there we go. So you search rfactor2. I have many things I've subscribed to, but essentially rfactor2 have put, there you go, all of their official content as a mod per se. So you basically subscribe to them. You find them, subscribe to them. You can, and I find it. Where's the name? There it is. So there you go, Studio 397. So if you search Studio 397, you should find the official content. You can click on them and then basically subscribe to all of their items. That's the official. It's all free. It's all proper. That's what you want. So a bit of a search in there, subscribe to all this, it'll automatically download everything, can be up to sort of 20 plus gig, and then when you open it, it'll all install it and it'll be there ready for you to go. So that's where you find mods. Also, if we go back, right, let's go back into it again. If we go into Workshop, best things to do, the most subscribed stuff, that generally is the best mod content, i.e. official, some of it, a lot of it not, but that's where you find pretty much all of the good content, all the stuff that you want, the high quality stuff. So that's where you find that. Right, so we haven't launched the game yet. Next on the list, I'm basically just running through this as I start it up. Obviously, I've already done the workshop thing, so I don't need that. So if you click on this, hit the old magic play button. What you want to do before you load it, launch rfactor2 configuration. So we hit the play on that. That'll bring up this screen. As you can see here, under GPU, which is your graphics card, it's set to auto. Sometimes this can be a bit of a pain in the backside, depending on what system you run. So always launch this first, and then select your graphics card. Done. It says it saves it, but it never does. That is a VR only thing. This is for the HUD, the way it looks. So obviously if you're running flat screen, put that at your resolution, whatever it is you're choosing to use. Obviously these are all personal preference. Because I run VR, I run low or none on the post effects. If you run flat screen, you can have that up. That doesn't make any difference to VR. Ignore that. That's purely just on the screen. So now we've done that. That's done. Ready to rock and roll. So we double check. Wheels on. Everything app. Everything that I need is on. We hit. Finally, launch the game.
Game launch detected.
Or, sorry, sim. And wait for that to fire up. While that's loading, you can pick, I mean, I don't know how much it is at the moment, but rfactor2 is a few quid, a few pounds on the Steam store, and they do go on sale quite a lot with the general Steam sales. It's worth picking up. It's worth picking up. It's something different. If you play ACC, Assetto Corsa, or if you play iRacing, it's good to have an alternative to try something different every now and again. The other thing I forgot to mention, if you on your wheel have a profile, say for example iRacing, and a profile for rfactor2, remember to change the profile before you launch the game. I haven't. So if I was to change that now wouldn't work. It wouldn't pick it up. So it would be set at whatever it was when you turned the sim on. So, but for the purpose of this video, it's fine. But remember that. Get your profile set up. So, right, we're into the game. The online stuff, that's pretty new. That's kind of self-explanatory. That's all in there. Daily races, blah, blah, blah. It's all fairly straightforward. Now, if you go into single player, if you loaded for the first time, you might not have anything, hence why you do the workshop, get all your items, everything you need. So if we now go into select track, this is an rfactor2 thing. Oh, why I've only got, what was that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks? I mean, I know I've got loads. And I appear to only have one vehicle to choose from. Right, rfactor2 thing. Go up to select series. These are all my like online sessions, if you will. It kind of saves them, preloads them. I haven't been in that many for months. So what you need to do to find all your content is go to all tracks and cars. Wait a month. Takes a while. Waiting. They need to make this quicker or default to this to start off with, because it drives me nuts. Still waiting. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Right, so now I've selected all cars and tracks. If I go back into tracks, I now have all my tracks to choose from. There we go, many tracks. And then if we do the same for cars, love those cars. That is, classic touring cars are a mod in the workshop. Get that, brilliant. As you can see, I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of cars. Right, next rfactor2 thing, I will use the Orica as an example. This is official content. So, there's your Orica. As you can see, it gives you many paints, liveries to choose from. Now, if you drive one, for example, say I drove this one, you can adjust, like you can in other sims, you can adjust the force feedback per car. However, it doesn't save your settings for the car, if you will. It saves it for the car and the livery. So, say if I adjusted it for this one, and then, oh, I fancied a bit of a change, and I wanted to race, I don't know, Fernando Alonso's livery. Love that livery. I would then have to redo my force feedback if I hadn't drove that before. rfactor2 thing. But I'll show you in the game in a second. But just so you know, the force feedback is saved to the livery of the car, not to the car as a whole. So that's that one. Next, if you are driving Le Mans, there are different aerodynamic options you can choose. Some are set or preset on servers, but if you get a choice, it's always worth looking. So if you see here, aero package, I've got standard or dive planes. So that's like your Silverstones and things like that. We've also got standard no dive planes, probably used for something like Spa. Or you've got standard with lower dive planes. You've got a couple. Some have many options, some have one or two. But there is, as you see here, a Le Mans option. So if you're running at Le Mans with full dive planes, you've got maximum downforce, and you don't want maximum downforce, you want little downforce. So that's where you change it if it gives you an option. Like I say, some online servers will force that. If you get the option, just double check. Something like Monza, you want Le Mans, and that's where you change that from. Okay, so that's that. Let me randomly pick. Let's go for an official Porsche. Let's go that one. Right, so I don't think I've never driven this one, so let's go with this. And let's not go for that track, because I still don't know it. Let's just go anything. You know what? When I can find it. Remember the alphabet. It is in alphabetical order, providing the builder has named it correctly, and there's a later version of that. Let me go for that one. That one. Right. So, I'm loading up. I'll put the headset on in a minute, just so I can show you the next few quirks of rfactor2. We'll wait for it to load. I don't need my gloves. Loading time's pretty quick, to be fair. It's not as bad as it used to be. They have improved that somewhat. Don't be put off by this, by the way. These are just quirks. The actual sim, I love it. And as you can see, you look back at my Steam when I had it on, I've got over 500 hours in this. So I already have some AI selected within it. So, next, first things to do. rfactor2 things, don't question it, just do it. So if you go setup, and then under the wheel and brakes, tyre pressures. Now again, if you're in an online session, some will force this already for you, but essentially, if it's not already done, lower the tyre pressures to as low as they go. You get more grip more of the time with fully lowered tyre pressures. So if they're not low, set them low. There are occasions you can, on endurance races, raise them slightly for better tyre wear. You can slightly adjust the understeer, oversteer with tyre pressures. However, but probably 95% of the time, they're going to be a minimum for the entirety of your time in the sim. Okay, so next one. You've got max pedal force. You will notice a lot of the time it'll be set to about 76%. If you run on the lower end of pedal, say something like a G29 pedal set or a Thrustmaster pedal set, and you don't have a load cell, it's worth, if you struggle with lockups, lowering this down until you can manage it. You'll know. So reducing your brake pedal force will help you brake without locking up, because it's just like an on and off switch, if you will. If, like me, you have a load cell pedal, I try, where possible, to run it at 100, because that gives me full braking force, and me and the load cell, we try and figure that out. So I'll sometimes run it on 95, 96, but I try to run it as close to 100 as possible for better braking performance. So if you've never done that, run it 100% with a load cell pedal. Right, so that's that quirk. Next one. Force feedback, as mentioned earlier, you can adjust it per car, and this is where you do it. So you go up to your settings, you go to calibrate controls. My weird pedals. So here, this is where you set it per car. So as a starting point, I normally set 2 to smoothing, and I've got a CSL Elite PS4. It's not a DD or anything. So if you run DDs, I can't say what to use, but this is my starting point. So I go for 2 on the smoothing, and then I drop this down to 80 as a start point. If it feels a bit grainy, you can put the smoothing up. I generally, if you put the smoothing up, lower the car specific multiplier. Also, I leave that at 100% and I adjust it here. Obviously, if you get into a car and it's all light and you can't feel anything, then put that multiplier up. You can reduce the smoothing. So that's where you start. So once you've done that, we're nearly into the car. Back up to the watch thing here. Now the settings I've just done won't save, sorry. If I then stay like that, go into the next session without saving, I'll have to redo all the setup stuff. The force feedback stuff, that's saved, but the settings aren't, unless you go into your setup and then you save your setup, create a setup for that particular car. It will, however, show you all of the setups you've ever done. So obviously I'm in a Porsche, but it's showing me Mustang setups. So when you name your setups, name them per car so you know which one it is. Just another heads up on that one. Right, so let's get into the sim. Let me put my headset on. There we go. And I've just remembered another quirk. I don't know why it does it, but for some reason rfactor2 never saves the audio output. Everything else does, just not rfactor2. It's an rfactor2 thing. So let me try that again. Headset on. Turn the actual headphones on would help. Right, VR users. This is the point you want to recenter your HUD. So I've just done that. Right, into the sim. Right, okay, so we've jumped in the car. You're looking around and you're going, where the bloody hell am I? Where's the track? So I'm sat really close to this wheel as well. Hold on, let me move back a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. As you can see, the man in front of me is pointing which way I need to drive. So sometimes you'll see on the ground that you get the little arrows of where you drive. Sometimes you don't. So he's pointing that way, so let's drive that way. So yes, look at me in the pits. Your pit limiter is always on if your car has one. It doesn't tell you if it does have one or doesn't have one. You soon find out when you get done for speeding in the pit lane. So here we go. You see, where's the bloody track? I'm still not there yet. Oh right, we go through a gateway. Nice. Right, next little thing. We're just about to come onto the pit lane here. When you're in the pit lane, you can hit other cars. So if there was another car in here, I could drive into it. But we've got an empty one at the moment. So if you're in the middle of a race and there's a pit stop and you need to get in between two cars, unlike iRacing, you can't drive through them. You have to drive between them. And if you hit them, you'll damage your car. Right. Next rfactor2 quirk. Now, you can't see it here. I don't know actually where it is on this track, but at the end of pit lanes, in most of the pit lanes, there's like a traffic light system, just off to the right or left. If the light is red and you exit the pits, you will get a drive-through or a penalty or a disqualification. So keep an eye out for that when you leave the pits, especially if you start in the pit lane. So we are out on track. Yeah, that is. Let's go back to the pits. Okay, so that is essentially VR here. That is essentially my very quick introduction to rfactor2 and the rfactor2 things. It's not perfect, nothing ever is. Like I say, there are just a few quirks. If you didn't know, they help you along. If I've missed anything or forgotten anything, or you think I'm talking nonsense, then pop it in the comments, let me know. In that case, thank you for watching. I've been Closet SimRacer. See you, bye.